gilded cage. Sophia Reeves traced her fingers across the marble countertop of her kitchen, a kitchen larger than the entire apartment she'd grown up in. Morning light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the sprawling mansion that felt more like a museum than a home. At 7 months pregnant, she moved with deliberate grace, one hand protectively cradling her swollen belly. "Would you like your tea now, Mrs. Reeves?" Naomi Chen appeared in the doorway, immaculate in her tailored black suit. Though technically Gabriel's executive assistant, Naomi had inserted herself into every aspect of the Reeves household. "Yes, thank you, Naomi." Sophia smiled warmly. Despite her husband's warnings to maintain professional distance with staff, she couldn't help but seek connection in this isolated world of wealth. Naomi nodded curtly, her slender fingers preparing the delicate porcelain cup. At 32, she was only 5 years older than Sophia, but carried herself with the hardened efficiency of someone who had fought for every opportunity. Behind her perfect composure simmered resentment that had been building for years. "Gabriel mentioned he'll be late again tonight," Naomi said, setting down the steaming cup. "Another merger meeting." Sophia's smile faltered. Of course. The company always comes first. What Naomi didn't say was how Gabriel had confided in her last night, his breath warm against her ear as they worked late in his office. How he'd complained about Sophia's neediness during pregnancy. How his hand had lingered on Naomi's shoulder. 7 years of devotion to Gabriel Reeves, organizing his life, anticipating his needs, loving him silently, and still she remained invisible beside the glowing beacon of Sophia. "Will you need anything else?" Naomi asked, watching as Sophia sipped the tea. "No, this is perfect." Perfect. Everything about Sophia was perfect. Her honey blonde hair, her compassionate blue eyes, her privileged upbringing. The daughter of a renowned surgeon who had married into even greater wealth. She hadn't earned any of it. "Actually, Naomi," Sophia called as she turned to leave. "Would you join me for a moment? I've barely seen another adult all week." Naomi hesitated before taking a seat across from her. "I really shouldn't. I have preparations for the charity gala." "Just 5 minutes?" "Please?" Sophia's eyes held a loneliness that even Naomi couldn't ignore. "I've been feeling so strange lately. Dizzy. Probably just pregnancy hormones." Naomi nodded, her face a mask of sympathy while her mind calculated. The white powder she'd been adding to Sophia's tea for weeks, untraceable, the dark web had promised, was finally showing effects. "Have you told Gabriel?" she asked. "He's too busy to worry about small things." Sophia absently rubbed her belly. "The baby kicked this morning. I recorded it to show him, but he was already gone." Something twisted in Naomi's chest. Not quite guilt, but recognition of Sophia's humanity. She pushed it away. "I should finish those preparations," Naomi said abruptly, rising from her chair. Later that evening, alone in her modest apartment in the staff quarters, Naomi stared at her reflection. Plain features, practical haircut, unremarkable eyes. Not beautiful like Sophia. Not worthy of notice. Her phone chimed with a message from Gabriel. "Need you to handle the Hansen contract revisions tonight. Not please, not thank you. Just expectation." Naomi smiled sadly at her reflection. In 8 months of pregnancy, Sophia had received more affection from Gabriel than Naomi had in 7 years of unwavering loyalty. And now a baby would cement their family, pushing Naomi further into the shadows. Unless... She opened her laptop, the screen illuminating her determined expression. The dosage needed adjustment. This time, she would ensure the job was done properly. By tomorrow evening, there would be tragedy in the Reeves mansion, and Naomi would be there to comfort the grieving husband. What she didn't anticipate was how tenaciously life could cling to existence, or how the consequences of her actions would echo through the years to come. Echoes of life. The hospital corridors seemed endless as Gabriel Reeves paced, his Italian leather shoes clicking against the sterile floor. His face betrayed nothing, not grief for his dying wife, not anxiety for his unborn child. Only irritation at the inconvenience. "Mr. Reeves?" A surgeon emerged, still wearing his blood-spattered gown. "I'm sorry. We couldn't save your wife." Gabriel nodded stiffly. "And the child?" A miracle, frankly. Your daughter survived. She's premature but fighting. Behind Gabriel, Naomi stood silently, her face a careful mask of concern. No one questioned her presence. As Gabriel's executive assistant, she handled everything in his life, including now his grief. What happened to my wife? Gabriel asked. The doctor hesitated. We're not certain. There were unusual toxins in her system. We've ordered more tests. Naomi's fingers tightened around her tablet. Mr. Reeves has been through enough tonight, doctor. Perhaps the specifics can wait. Of course. The doctor retreated, unaware of the calculating gaze following him. 3 days later, Sophia Reeves was buried in a private ceremony. Gabriel delivered a brief, emotionless eulogy. Naomi arranged everything: the white lilies, the tasteful announcements, the closed casket. She also arranged for the toxicology reports to disappear, replaced with findings of a rare pregnancy complication. By the time little Lily Reeves came home from the hospital weeks later, Naomi had already established herself as indispensable. She hired the nannies, organized the nursery, and slowly, methodically positioned herself closer to Gabriel. She looks nothing like you, Naomi observed one evening as they worked late in his study. Lily was 6 months old, sleeping upstairs with her third nanny in as many months. Gabriel glanced up from his documents. She's all Sophia. Sometimes I can barely look at her. Naomi placed a comforting hand on his. It must be difficult seeing her every day. I've enrolled her in the Wellington Academy. Boarding starts at age 5. That's very young, Naomi said carefully, though inwardly she celebrated. Gabriel shrugged. Best education money can buy. Sophia would have wanted that. It was the first time he'd invoked his dead wife's wishes, a justification Naomi would teach him to use whenever guilt threatened to surface. As years passed, Lily grew from a solemn toddler into a quiet, watchful child. With her mother's deep blue eyes and delicate features, she moved through the mansion like a ghost, largely ignored by her father and tolerated by Naomi, who had gradually transformed from assistant to companion to, finally, Gabriel's lover. On Lily's 5th birthday, a small suitcase was packed. No party was planned. Remember, Lily, this is what your mother wanted for you, Gabriel said as they drove to the boarding school, Naomi beside him in the passenger seat. Lily, strapped into her booster seat, clutched a worn photograph, the only one she had of her mother. Did you love Mommy? She asked suddenly. Gabriel's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Naomi answered for him. Your father adored your mother, Lily. Her loss was devastating for him. Wellington will give you opportunities to make her proud. What neither told her was how Gabriel had already restructured his will, leaving controlling interest in Reeves Technologies to Naomi should anything happen to him. Lily would receive only what was legally required, the trust from her maternal grandparents, themselves now deceased, and a symbolic share in the company. For 16 years, Lily's life consisted of school terms abroad and obligatory holiday visits to a home that never felt like hers. During those rare visits, she watched how Naomi had transformed the mansion, erasing all traces of Sophia Reeves. Only one photograph remained in Lily's bedroom, the same one she kept at school. Then came the call during her final year at Oxford. A private plane crash over the Atlantic. No survivors. Her father and Naomi had been returning from a business trip to New York. What no one expected was the final amendment Gabriel had made to his will just weeks before his death. Whether from guilt, suspicion, or some remnant of loyalty to Sophia, he had reversed his earlier decisions. Control of Reeves Technologies, all of it, would pass not to Naomi, but to Lily on her 21st birthday, just 3 months away. As Lily stood alone at the twin funeral, she felt nothing but a hollow emptiness where grief should be. Among the mourners, only one person met her gaze directly, a tall man with silver-streaked dark hair and penetrating green eyes. She didn't recognize him, but he nodded to her with what seemed like respect. Later, as executives offered condolences and poorly disguised assessments of her capability, the stranger approached. Julian Mercer, he introduced himself, his voice deep and measured. I was an early investor in your father's company. He hesitated. And I knew your mother. Lily's heart quickened. You knew my mother? Julian's eyes softened. Sophia was remarkable. "You have her spirit." He handed her a business card. "When you're ready to talk about your inheritance, call me. There are things about Reeves Technologies and your parents that you should know." As he walked away, Lily felt something she hadn't experienced in years: curiosity and perhaps hope. Hidden truths. 3 months after the funeral, Lily Reeves stood in her father's former office, now hers, overlooking the Seattle skyline. At 21, she carried herself with the composed dignity of someone much older. A young woman raised without warmth tends to create her own internal fire. "The board is waiting." "Ms. Reeves," her newly appointed assistant announced. Lily nodded, smoothing her tailored navy suit. Oxford had prepared her intellectually for this moment, but nothing could prepare her emotionally for the hostile faces that greeted her in the boardroom. "Gentlemen," she addressed them coolly, "I understand you have concerns about my leadership." Elliot Vaughn, her father's oldest ally on the board, didn't bother with pretense. "You're a child with no experience. This company needs stable guidance, not a college experiment." Lily might have wavered had Julian Mercer not chosen that moment to enter, taking a seat at the far end of the table. "Ms. Reeves asked me to join as an advisory consultant," Julian explained to the startled executives. "Given my significant stake in this company, I'm happy to assist during this transition." The mention of his considerable investment quieted the immediate objections. Julian Mercer's reputation in tech venture capital was legendary, as was his reclusiveness and selective involvement. After the tense meeting, Julian followed Lily back to her office. "They'll try to undermine you at every turn," he warned. Lily turned to him, her professional facade cracking slightly. "Why are you helping me?" "What did you mean when you said you knew my mother?" Julian's expression softened. "Your mother and I met at Stanford. We were close friends before she met your father." Something flickered in his eyes. An old pain, carefully preserved. "When she died so suddenly, I had questions. Your father blocked every inquiry. You think her death wasn't an accident?" "I think there are too many coincidences in your family history." That night, Lily stayed late at the office, using her new access to search company archives. In a forgotten server, she found personal emails from the weeks before her mother's death. Sophia had been looking into discrepancies in company accounts, money disappearing through shell corporations. When Lily returned to the mansion, her mansion now, she wandered into rooms she'd never been allowed to enter as a child. In her father's bedroom, now cleared of Naomi's possessions, she found a hidden safe behind an abstract painting. The combination eluded her until she tried her own birth date. Inside lay documents, a small velvet box containing her mother's engagement ring, and a USB drive. The drive contained security footage from the mansion spanning several years, including the day of her mother's collapse. Lily watched, breath caught in her throat, as Naomi prepared tea in the kitchen, adding something from a small vial before serving it to Sophia. Her hands trembling, Lily called Julian. "I need to see you. Now." He arrived within the hour, his concerned expression deepening as she showed him the footage. "I suspected Naomi was involved, but your father protected her," Julian admitted. "I've spent years gathering information. There's more, Lily. The plane crash wasn't an accident." Her voice was surprisingly steady. "The investigation found evidence of tampering. Nothing conclusive, but someone wanted them both dead." Lily paced the study. Why change his will just before the crash? Did he suspect her? Julian watched her carefully. Perhaps. Or perhaps guilt finally caught up with him. Gabriel wasn't a good husband to your mother or father to you, but he wasn't evil, just weak. And Naomi exploited that weakness. Lily stopped suddenly. Where is she now? Living in Monaco? She received a substantial insurance payout as your father's named beneficiary. Lily turned to face him, her mother's determined eyes blazing in her father's boardroom stance. I want her back here. For the company's memorial gala next month. Julian raised an eyebrow. That's dangerous. So is poisoning a pregnant woman. She stepped closer to him, suddenly aware of his presence in a different way. his broad shoulders, the subtle cologne, the intelligence behind his green eyes. At 45, Julian Mercer radiated a confidence and depth she found magnetic. "Why did you really help me?" she asked softly. Julian hesitated. "I promised myself I would protect Sophia's daughter." "I failed your mother. I won't fail you." The air between them changed, charged with something neither was prepared to name. "What exactly was your relationship with my mother?" Lily asked. "We were engaged, briefly, before your father swept in with promises of a bigger future." He smiled sadly. "She chose him. I respected her decision." Lily absorbed this revelation. "And now you're helping her daughter take back what was stolen." Justice has been a long time coming. His hand brushed hers, perhaps accidentally. The contact sent unexpected warmth through her. "We should focus on the plan," Lily said, withdrawing slightly, confused by her reaction. Julian nodded, professional again. "I'll help you trap Naomi. But Lily, be careful. She's already killed twice." "3 times," Lily corrected. "She killed my mother, my father, and my childhood." This ends now. Part 4. Veiled Intentions. The preparations for the memorial gala consumed Reeves Technologies for weeks. Lily oversaw every detail personally, from the guest list to the security protocols. The event would honor her father's business legacy while announcing the company's new direction under her leadership. Naomi Chen confirmed her attendance. Julian reported during one of their evening strategy sessions in her office. "She can't resist the opportunity to assess your threat level." Lily nodded, studying the building blueprint spread across her desk. "The security team will be briefed tomorrow. We'll have people watching her every moment." Julian moved beside her close enough that she could feel his warmth. "You've thought of everything except your own safety." "I'm not afraid of her. You should be." His hand covered hers on the blueprint. "Naomi is cornered now. That makes her dangerous." The touch sent electricity through her arm. Lily met his gaze, suddenly aware of how their late-night planning sessions had evolved from strictly professional to something more intimate. The age gap between them seemed irrelevant compared to their shared purpose and the undeniable attraction simmering beneath their interactions. "Why did you never marry?" she asked abruptly. "After my mother." Julian withdrew his hand, surprised by the personal question. "I focused on building my investment portfolio. Relationships seemed complicated." "And now?" His green eyes darkened. "Now I'm involved in something I never anticipated." The tension between them hung in the air, neither willing to acknowledge it further. There was too much at stake. As the gala approached, Lily spent hours with investigators and lawyers, building an airtight case against Naomi. The security footage was damning but not conclusive for a criminal conviction. They needed more. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Reeves Technologies' longtime chauffeur, who revealed he had driven Naomi to a specific pharmacy repeatedly in the weeks before Sophia's death. The pharmacy records showed purchases of a rare plant extract known to cause symptoms similar to pregnancy complications. 3 days before the gala, Lily visited her mother's grave for the first time in years. "I'm bringing her to justice." "Mom," she whispered, placing white roses against the marble. "Headstone," she sensed rather than heard Julian's approach behind. "Her." "I didn't know you were following me," she said without turning. "I promised to protect you." He stood beside her, gazing at Sophia's name. "She would be proud of the woman you've become." Lily's carefully maintained composure cracked. "She never got to see me grow up." Julian hesitated before putting his arm around her shoulders. When she leaned into him, he tightened his embrace. "I sometimes wonder," he said quietly, "if things had been different, if Sophia had chosen me instead of Gabriel, if you might have been my daughter." The words hung between them, complicated and loaded with implication. Lily looked up at him, her expression unreadable. "But I'm not your daughter." Something shifted in Julian's eyes. "No, you're not." The moment stretched between them, weighted with possibility. Finally, Julian stepped back. "We should focus on tomorrow. Naomi arrives in the morning." The night of the gala transformed the Reeves Technologies headquarters into a glittering showcase. Executives, investors, and tech industry elites mingled in the grand atrium. Lily made her entrance in a striking blue gown that deliberately echoed her mother's favorite color. Her father's college pin affixed to her clutch, a detail that wouldn't escape Naomi's notice. When Naomi Chen arrived, the room subtly reoriented toward the newcomer. At 44, she remained elegant and composed, dressed in understated black that communicated appropriate mourning. Only Lily noticed the calculating assessment behind her sympathetic smile. "Lily, darling." Naomi embraced her with practiced affection. Gabriel would be so proud, would he? Lily returned the embrace stiffly. "I've been making some fascinating discoveries about the company lately." A flicker of unease crossed Naomi's features before her smile reasserted itself. "We should catch up properly. Perhaps breakfast tomorrow? I was hoping we could speak privately tonight." Lily gestured toward the executive elevator. "There's something in my office I'd like to show you." As they moved through the crowd, Lily caught Julian's eye. He nodded almost imperceptibly. Everything was in place. In the penthouse office, Naomi admired the view, while Lily poured 2 glasses of champagne. Blooming from ashes, the trial of Naomi Chen dominated headlines for months. Corporate espionage, embezzlement, 2 counts of murder. The prosecutor called it a Shakespearean tragedy in the tech world. Through it all, Lily Reeves maintained a dignified silence. In public while revolutionizing her company in private on the day of the verdict, guilty on all counts. Lily stood alone in the courtroom as the former maid who had nearly destroyed her family was led away in handcuffs. Outside, reporters clamored for a statement. "Justice doesn't restore what was taken," Lily told the microphones thrust toward her. "But it allows us to build something new." That evening, she found Julian waiting in her office, a bottle of champagne properly chilled. "To closure," he proposed, filling 2 glasses. Lily accepted hers but didn't drink immediately. "Is that what we have now?" "Closure?" Julian studied her over his glass. In the 6 months since the gala, their relationship had evolved into something neither had dared to define. Their age difference, 24 years, remained a silent complication between them, as did the ghost of her mother. "What do you want, Lily?" he asked finally. She set down her untouched champagne and moved to the windows. "I want to stop looking backward. The company reorganization is complete. The justice system has done its work." She turned to face him. "I want to know if there's a future for us that isn't shaped by the past." Julian crossed to her, setting his own glass aside. "I've asked myself that same question. Whether my feelings for you are entangled with memories of Sophia, and you're nothing like your mother," he said simply. "You're stronger, clearer in your purpose. Sophia was gentle, sometimes to a fault. You have her compassion, but temper it with something entirely your own." Lily searched his face. "That doesn't answer my question." "I love you," Julian said, the words finally spoken aloud. "Not as an echo of the past. Not as someone to protect. I love the woman you are now." She stepped into his embrace, her decision made months ago but only now given voice. "Then stop treating me like I might break. I've survived worse than falling in love with you." Their kiss deepened with new certainty. Later, in the sanctuary of her bedroom, their bodies found the language that words had circled around. Julian's hands traced her with reverence. Lily's exploration was both innocent and determined. They moved together with increasing urgency until release washed over them in waves, leaving them breathless and intertwined. "I never expected this," Julian confessed afterward, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "When I began investigating your mother's death years ago, I was driven by old regrets. And now—" Lily propped herself up to see his face in the dim light. "Now I'm thinking about tomorrow, and all the tomorrows after." 1 year later, Reeves Technologies had been reborn as Aurora Innovations, named for the dawn Lily envisioned. The company had pivoted toward medical technology, developing advanced detection systems for toxins and poisons in hospital settings. Julian had stepped back from his investment firm to join Lily's executive team, their personal relationship now public knowledge. Though some whispered about the age gap, most who saw them together recognized the genuine partnership they had formed, equals despite the years between them. On the 5th anniversary of her inheritance, Lily opened a new building on the company campus, the Sophia Reeves Women's Health Research Center. "My mother never got to fulfill her potential," Lily told the gathered crowd. "This center ensures other women won't lose their chances." In the front row, Julian watched her with undisguised pride. Beside him sat Dr. Elena Mercer, his sister and newly appointed research director. The diamond ring on Lily's left hand caught the sunlight as she gestured, announcing research grants and fellowship opportunities. After the ceremony, Lily found a moment alone with Julian in the rooftop garden that crowned the new building. "My mother would have loved this view," she said. Leaning against the railing, Julian wrapped his arms around her from behind. "She would have loved who you've become even more." Lily turned in his embrace. "I've been thinking about family lately." "Have you?" His expression grew careful, hopeful. She took his hand and placed it on her abdomen. "I'm pregnant." Joy transformed his features, followed quickly by concern. "Are you sure you're ready?" "With your history." "That's exactly why I'm ready," Lily said firmly. "This child will know love from the beginning. Both parents. No secrets, no poison, no schemes." She kissed him softly. "Just truth. And hope." As Julian pulled her close, the Seattle skyline spread before them, the view both an ending and a beginning. From tragedy had come justice. From justice, healing. From healing, love. The legacy Lily now created would be entirely her own, born not from revenge, but from resilience. "To the future," Julian whispered against her hair. Lily smiled, her hand protectively over their growing child. "To our future." In the garden below, white roses bloomed around a small plaque bearing Sophia's name. Not a memorial to what was lost, but a testament to what had been reclaimed. Life continuing, love reborn, a family at last made whole.